These rumors have been going around for years that the President Obama's administration was abusing this power of unmasking, and this sounds like they were abusing it to go after a political opponent, which I think is a very serious offense and should be investigated. And the fact that Vice President Biden is directly involved with unmasking a political opponent. Think about it. You remember we went through this thing called impeachment? They said the President Trump was using the government to go after a political opponent. This is Vice President Biden using the spying powers of the United States to go after a political opponent. He's caught red-handed here. Vice President Biden's caught red-handed eavesdropping on a political opponent's phone calls. That, to me, is alarming.
Let's also remember that General Flynn, in a sense, is part of the was part of the Trump campaign, right? So this was occurring. I mean, and this was only the window they looked at. I would want to know, how about the window of the 3 months before it? Who else from the Trump campaign? If it's so routine, if it's so normal that there's all these unmasking requests that just happen to be of the incoming national security advisor, folks. This isn't just, some random person who's talking to some strange people overseas. And no, if this is so normal, how many of these conversations were intercepted in the months before involving Flynn? This is what I really want to know. Were there conversations intercepted with Donald Trump himself? Was the presidential candidate for the opposition party? I don't know. But they're telling us this is no big deal. This just happens, man. Totally just happens. Was Trump intercepted? Was Pence intercepted? We know that the vice president and the president's chief of staff, which means the president himself, saw it, by the way. That means Obama. We know that they were looking at conversations that Flynn's having. Intercepts of conversations. And they're now telling us, this happens all the time, totally normal, nothing to see here. We're supposed to believe this is normal? Okay, well, let's extend that theory out a little bit. How many Trump campaign officials during the campaign were caught in unmasking by U.S. surveillance? And do we really even have a Fourth Amendment? Do we really even have any reasonable expectation of privacy? Do we think that there has to be a warrant or not for these kinds of government intrusions? It seems like we keep coming across answers that say, no, if the government wants to hear your stuff, they can. And they'll make some justification up for it. Just like right now, as we're seeing with the COVID-19 pandemic, the government now has just claimed for itself total control over you. And if you disagree, you're putting people's lives at risk. If you want to live a normal human life right now, there are government officials all across the country, including in the federal public health apparatus, who will tell you you're putting other people at risk, and therefore you're not allowed to have those freedoms. What's it going to be like during flu season? You're going to tell me to stay home then too? You're going to tell me I have to wear a mask then too? You're going to tell me that I have no basic autonomy? And lock me house arrest for what? Look, the government has taken all this power into its hands. The government's also playing with fire here. And if this thing gets out of control, it gets out of control fast and it gets ugly. So they need to back off. This stuff is nuts that's going on in some of these blue states. But really, maybe in a way, I see it gets me fired up, and I don't want to lose the train of thought right now on the unmasking. But I do want you to have that thought exercise with me. If this is so normal, if this is so legitimate, who else were they unmasking in the Trump campaign? How many Trump conversations? If they're going to tell me that we would never read Trump's conversations, never read a Trump transcript, why? They've told us that this is fine, that this happens, that there's no problem with it. It's incidental. They didn't know who it was. Oh, really? You don't know who's caught a senior U.S. official, blacked out name, speaking to the Russian ambassador. Hey, we're going to be in charge soon. So when we're in charge, just know that we'll have a good relationship and just wait a couple weeks, buddy. Yeah, they have no idea who that is. This was an argument I was seeing yesterday. You morons making this argument out there don't know a damn thing. The text is already in the report. I used to read these reports all day long. It's my job. I was a little cubicle nerd in the intel community reading these reports all day, all day, all day. We know who it is, but if you're going to make the claim and if you're going to leak it and if you're going to use law enforcement, you better be darn sure, right?
Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.